to let go of form to allow or enable increase in God consciousness. So you've got, boy oh boy, you've got a whole chorus on this one, Jim. The answer is,
would you read that again, please?
Sure.
You want me to clarify it?
No, I know what you're saying.
Okay.
You're saying, do I have to suffer to get to heaven? It's sort of the long and short of it, right?
Do I have to suffer to realize heaven here?
Right, no. Absolutely not. And that was funny because after I got done reading that, Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, and then Christ in the middle, they all said, no! Again, a big chorus. Absolutely. You need not suffer even for a moment. You need not suffer even for a moment. And here's what is really, and I think it's timely that you saw Marianne Williamson, but here's where Christ can really benefit you. And especially around the work of Course in Miracles. Suffering is, it's a way of thinking. It's a way of thinking. Suffering is the very way of thinking that creates the illusion of separation between us and God. So if you will choose to release the suffering thoughts, which is the work of the ego, you will immediately realize the truth and start choosing thoughts that are in line with the fact that we are all one. There was never a separation from the source. And we are all there. It's just thought by thought by thought by thought that we experience that reality instead of the illusion of suffering and pain and loss and letting go. So, sometimes the ego can be a really bratty, loud, spit-throwing little entity that will really convince you that you're suffering, really convince you that things are hard. It's not real. It's not real. It's almost like, and this is the image that Archangel Michael is giving me, when you go through a haunted house, that's the kind of how the ego works. It's all shadows. It's all masks. It's not real. That's how this world is. And it feels like these mummies are coming up out of coffins and these monsters are jumping out of closets. But what is that in a haunted house? It's not a mummy. It's some kid in a costume. And that's the same thing with the ego. It doesn't have any real power. It's not real. But it feels like it sometimes. That's when you've got to say, well, the truth is, I'm in this haunted house, I'm in this crazy carnival ride, and that's not real. I'm going to pass through it, and then I'm going to realize it's light outside, and it's a beautiful day, and that's the truth of God. So, suffering is not mandatory, it's not required, and in fact, it's not even desirable, says Christ. Align your thoughts with love, and the suffering, the relationship to suffering, the relationship with loss, the relationship with separation will completely heal itself. And that, again, Christ is saying you're here to heal the separation, not to suffer your way to an understanding of God. So absolutely, do not suffer another moment.
So we can choose to evolve and connect with that. Part of that question came from a lot of the reading that I've done and my life experience with dealing with a lot of people is, unfortunately, the ego controls our life, and for a lot of people, they have to hit rock bottom before they finally decide, I need to choose another path. This is not working for me. And that question, I guess, really is that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. That we can choose to learn and decide on this path without going through the dark night of the soul.
Absolutely. Right. And again, it depends on, there are many factors involved in it, says Archangel Michael. Some of it is unique to what each person needs, that they've written in their chart. I'm going to go through this experience, and that's going to be my point of spiritual awakening. But it doesn't have to be so. So you need not hit rock bottom to start turning to God. It doesn't need to happen that way. It absolutely does not need to happen. Again, I think the suffering, this is Archangel Michael's analogy. The degree of suffering is in direct proportion to the degree of attachment to any given illusion, which makes a lot of sense. So if you're really, really, really attached to your car and you have a car accident, you're going to suffer. If you don't care too much about your car, you have a car accident and it gets totaled, oh well, you get a new car and you move on. So the degree of suffering that we as humans experience is in direct proportion to the degree of attachment to the illusion, in any of its many forms, be it a physical, like a car, be it a body issue, be it a relationship, be it a job, whatever the degree of attachment is to anything in the world of illusion is a direct indicator of the level of suffering that can be incurred once the loss happens. So again, if you're attaching yourself to the truth, suffering doesn't need to happen at all, just like with the car issue. So it's certainly a very powerful argument for non-attachment, but also then for doing the work that's required to realize that God is your source and that we are not separated, nor have we ever been. So Rachel Michael says, is that in line with what